What's up, guys, and welcome back for another solo mining episode. Episode 124. We're going to be doing some good old ore mining today in the prospect. We're going to be out there getting some trit, mexilon, pyrite. We're going to be mining out here in these. This is one of these new Kylixium belts, anomalies, whatever. But we're going to talk a little bit today about why I'm still doing a lot of ore mining. I mean, ice mining is great and all, but that's mainly for the fuel block side of things. For most advanced industry, we absolutely just want to build a good foundation of, and since we have sources of all the different materials in nullsec, having all that stuff built up is highly recommended, because we don't really know what we're going to build down the road. We want to just do a bunch of different industry, so we want to kind of have a good inventory going. So I try to go out here once a day, take one trip out with the prospect and just, fill it up. I'm using actually deep core miners with the crystals, type B2 crystals, so it's a little bit faster on the cycle time. I'm doing like 16 cubic meters per second total. It's like 8 cubic meters a second per laser. So it only takes, 15, 20 minutes to kind of fill this up. And what's nice here is we got that, escape button, that cloak. And what's different with this than the endurance when we're doing ice mining is we can actually cloak hide, and then we can also move off grid if we need to post up for a little bit. But as you can see, we're sitting in the system by ourselves. No real presence here, and we don't have to sit there like in high sec and just jam that D-scan button all the time, which is very nice. But I've got the info window up for what I am mining right now. So as you can see, we get trit, pyrite, mexilon out of here. Now, I don't actually refine this stuff until I need it, and that's a big recommendation that I try to tell people is once we're done here, I'm basically going to go in and compress it, and then we're going to stick it in our mining hold in the Fortizar, and we're just going to hang on to it. If we start building something that we need trit, pyrite, mexilon, then we can take it out with the jump freighter, and go and refine it, use it. But I just don't recommend actively refining anything until you absolutely need it, because that, product, that refined product weighs so much and it's much harder to move. You can kind of back yourself into a logistics corner, as it were, by being a little too proactive on that front. Now, this is one of the older prospects that I've had out here with the alt. As you can see, it's got a nice level of dirt on it. It's a solid gold imperial skin, is no longer, shiny and new, a little gruffed up, but this is kind of a wormhole fit for the most part. Sensor boosters with ECCM scripts, those are nice, if, for wormhole. Not really out here. I'll probably turn them off here in a little bit. We really don't need them running, but it just allows you to be tracked or scanned down a little bit more difficult. And then we have a warp core scrambler as well, just in case in a pinch we need to kind of hopefully subvert a warp scram, and then just a prop mod. But for the most part, I just go out here and I usually warp out to these anomalies cloaked, and I get in position where I want for the rock before I even decloak. So very stealthy. So for instance, if anybody comes in the system right now, then like a neutral comes in the system, all I have to do is hit F1 and I will go into cloak. It'll automatically turn off my lasers and everything else that's running, and I can just chill. Since it's a covert cloak, then we can go out to a bookmark, chill out, whatever, or we can just move on grid. We can move up or down just to kind of give some variance to our position. But I don't think that'll be needed. It's been pretty quiet in these adjacent systems for these, but I've done a little bit of isogen mining here in nullsec with the alt, a few weeks ago. This is the first time I've actually started, this is the first day of actually going out here and kind of building our trit foundation. Normally in the past, I've always just imported that stuff. I've always had guys in high sec mining a lot of industry back in the day before all these new anomalies. That's kind of how it was. If you're doing a lot of industry in nullsec, chances are you probably had a high sec or a couple of high sec alts that were mining trit and all that stuff, and you were compressing it and importing it in. But not really needed anymore, which is a great quality of life thing. Just being able to kind of source that stuff now, which kind of lines up to my motivations too, in terms of mining and things, like where I like using the prospect and endurance. I might not be come out here for like a crazy amount of yield, but I can consistently come out here and grab stuff without too much worry of losing assets or having to replace assets and stuff, because I just can give myself that option to kind of go cloaked when things happen and everything. But we're just going to continue mining here. We're going to talk about industry a little bit, just kind of like, everything that we're going to be building up and all that. What we've been doing since we've kind of brought everybody out here is getting, the PI all sorted for fuel blocks. A lot of ice mining in the past few weeks. A lot of episodes have been focused on ice mining, but we're going to probably like not focus the episodes too much on that, because that's kind of routine based on like, if the ice belt is good or not, was depending on what ship we take out. But it's really all of these other like types of ore sites that are really going to play a big part in the larger picture of industry. I did bring all the BPOs that we had for the solo industry series I brought out here. So we will probably be also building venture sinos, because we can sell those locally. I'm pretty much going to do everything for that fit except for the rigs. I got to look at the rigs and see if we can source, or what we can source for that. Rigs can be a little difficult on that. Now, rig manufacturing is going to require you to be doing, if you want to like save yourself a misc, it's going to require you to do some hacking. Primarily relic sites and stuff like that, or going out and salvaging rat wrecks, NPC wrecks and things like that, to get like some of that scrap to go into those rigs. Data sites are valuable in the sense that if you want to like save yourself on like data cores and stuff for invention, we will be getting into an invention as well. We'll be doing reaction. My plan is to do the full suite of industry out here. So that's why we've got BPOs for all the different types of fuel blocks, so that we can facilitate turning those isotopes into the appropriate fuel blocks to do certain reactions and things. We're doing PI. We're just blanketing all of P1. We're creating all 15 types of P1, and we're going to be stockpiling that. A lot of advanced industry will require P4, and some of that really fun stuff that you can build and sell really easily, like mobile tractor units. People lose mobile tractor units all the time, so having a steady supply of those put on the market is really great as well. So before you normally what I recommend when you're like getting into industry, don't like try to figure out roughly what you want to build, but don't leave anything off the table, as it were. It's very important to actually like kind of build out all of your materials and resources, and then see what you can do sustainably. That's one of the biggest challenges with industry, is like sustainable income, right? And you really have to kind of move with the economy for the most part. That's why I never really had a problem with fuel blocks, because everybody always needs fuel blocks. Every hour that passes in this game, fuel blocks are being taken out of the economy through structures and stuff like that. So there's always a need for fuel blocks and things like that. But when you're like looking for BPOs and stuff like that to make, try to get a good spread. Get some T1 ship stuff, get some modules, get some charges, some ammunition, or commodities. Kind of give yourself a lot of different options, because most of the time when you go to make something, you're going to kind of do a market analysis, figure out what has the better margins right now, what gives you the better profit for the inputs, and you're going to make that. So like if the module market kind of drops out, then you can go lean on something else, like T1 ship hulls, or drones, or ammo, or whatever. You're going to always be building that library of BPOs and stuff. That's why mining like this, consistently mining, sources of trit, pyrite, mexlon, isogen, all the different types of things is very important. And if you start to get into like T2 industry, then you need to keep a stock of morphite and stuff. Here in the next few days, we'll probably go more mercoxit hunting, and we'll kind of get out there and put some of that stuff in the mining hold as well too. Even if we don't use Morphite is amazing to like pad and export shipment back to Jita, because it's highly valuable for how much cubic meters it is. So that's always nice. We don't really have any in the immediate area that we're in right now, but there are anomalies out there now. The availability of mercoxide is, you know, increased quite a bit with some of the new mining changes. And so that's another job here for the Prospect. The Prospect can basically handle everything except for ice. It can also handle gas. We don't have our scoops out yet. We'll probably send scoops out if we start seeing a lot of gas anomalies. But really, to be successful with gas, you kind of need to go into wormhole space. And when we start getting into like really advanced industry, and you're looking at doing propulsion parts for capital ships, almost every propulsion component is going to require different types of gas, and that can be a big bottleneck for industry, going out there and trying to source all the different, you know, gas from all the different regions, which when it comes down to it and you kind of do the numbers and you look across the availability, wormholes is pretty much the best place to go to kind of grab all that stuff. Same with ice. If you get a good wormhole system that has, you know, an ice belt in there that has all the different types of ice, and you kind of grab what you need. You won't be able to grab everything, but if you grab what you need to fill some gaps. So, but that's just one thing about the industry. When you really get into the deep grass, the long grass of industry, it's you're always looking at the market. You're always looking at availability of stuff. You're always trying to, like, you know, get material stocked back up. It's just a, you know, an ever growing machine. Unless you're just doing like back when I would just do like fuel blocks straight up, never worried about anything else. You know, you just do your PI, you do ice mining, and you just profit, right? But that can get a little boring. If you stick yourself to just doing like one type of manufacturing, you can get burnt out pretty quick. So that's one of my main goals. With all the content actually going on this channel, I'm going to try to recommend or show ways to kind of combat burnout by adding some variance. I know a lot of people like kind of just go, you know, single vision on things for a while. I mean, even for me, when I first started playing EVE, I was strictly mining and not even doing, you know, manufacturing or PI. We would just put lasers on rocks in high sec and then eventually null sec, and that's all we did, you know. And it got really boring really fast, and I didn't really start enjoying the game until I started going a little deeper and started doing a lot of manufacturing and PI and ratting, and gave myself a lot of things to do. That's why the solo mining series will not just be mining. I think a lot of things kind of tie into mining. Primary focus will be mining, but we will also be talking about like the industry and everything side of things. But most of the deep dive stuff for industry that we'll be doing, you know, in a few months or so, once we've kind of built out everything, is going to happen on Patreon. That's one benefit I'm giving Patreon members is, you know, having a lot of, you know, grueling detail when it comes to that kind of stuff. So if you want to support the channel, if you like the content, and you want to kind of, you know, keep things going, that is a great way to support the channel, is through Patreon. One of my preferred sources. I've been adding a lot of stuff over there, and there'll be more to come there. So any, you know, market analysis, any kind of speculation that I do will probably happen on Patreon. But we're still going strong with the solo mining series, and it is one of those series that I didn't expect to do really well, but here we are, almost 130 episodes, 2 years of doing this this series, and it's we're just, you know, you're always like kind of evolving and kind of changing and, you know, growing or progressing in some sort, and that's very important. Now that we're kind of back in nullsec in full force, I mean, I know we've been in nullsec before, just kind of like on shorter stints, but this this iteration is a little bit different because we've decided to, you know, actually bring my solo corp out, actually get my main outside of Jita and all that stuff, and really just kind of, you know, go all in for the most part. All right, we are filled up, so now we're actually, and this is something I don't actually show a lot either too. I haven't shown it in the past. It's like me actually gate jumping, but you can hopefully you'll be able to start to see the process that I take when I'm doing this kind of stuff. But as you can see there, We didn't necessarily have to cloak coming off the anomaly, but it's a good habit. I just cloak that way. When I get to gate, no one saw me coming into the gate. And then we got a covert ops cloak, always be cloaking. So we're under the cover of gate cloak right now. But once we, set warp or dock or whatever, we immediately cloak again. So we're, that's the benefit. Now, if you're going to be flying a ship with a covert ops cloak, you might as well be, under the radar as much as possible. So this is a normal process for me when I'm going out to these other systems and doing these other types of anomalies. Is I'll fill up the prospect, I'll come back to home system, I will refine everything, and then I'll go back to the Forzar and dump it in the, I guess you could call it the long-term, storage. But in that Forzar, we actually will have to move all that ore out when we get ready to manufacture. So that compressed ore will have to be put into like a freighter, taken back to this station here, refined, and then taken to the engineering complex when we start to do runs and stuff. But once we start building stuff, you'll see that process in depth and with all the nice details that are in there. Another thing too is I also updated did some changes to my overview. So the overview file on Patreon has been updated. Also, I recently updated the template files on there as well. There's the UI copier that's on Patreon there as well as the client switcher that I use when I'm running multiple alts. But we got everything buttoned up. I really appreciate you guys for watching. Hit Patreon to support the channel. I appreciate everybody over there that's supporting me, and I'll see you guys in the next one.